Hi, Rise. Welcome to another edition of with Gina. I'm Gina Parker Collins, founder of Resources in Independent School Education. Thank you for joining us. It is building up to our annual Rise Parent Power Conference in Baptist Church in Harlem this Saturday, April 23rd, to 2 p.m. Please register. There's a link below in the details section that will tell you more about our phenomenal workshops and our amazing 15 day schools that will be with us on Saturday. So today we're going to touch upon a segment of one of the workshops, which is a focus group on boys of color in independent school education. Real important topic. Our girls are important too. Right now we happen to be talking about our boys. We're going to get back to our girls really soon, but we have an editor of research to facilitate this focus group so that parents of boys of color in independent school education will have an opportunity to share their truth to power, talk their truth to power, share their hopes, desires, goals, even fears for their boys of color in the world, and in particular in our independent school system. So we want to give that opportunity to our parents. And the facilitator, Dr. John Young, is here with us today. Hi, Dr. John. How are you?
Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for inviting me and having me on your program. I'm so excited and happy. I saw a couple of the clips online, and I said, I have to be a part of this. I have to be a part of this. So I'm
Lunch with Gina, where we actually nourished mine. We're not actually feeding anybody any food per se, but it's food for thought.
Yes.
Food for thought. That's no calories, but a whole lot of
I like the analogy. That's good.
So Dr. John, he's done a first. He is the first male in the history of Columbia University Teachers College to earn a doctorate in giftedness in the Department of Curriculum and Teaching. Wow, that's great. And you decided to focus your research on academically high achieving, gifted and talented young men of color. And I appreciate that because we are often met with a lot of research media outtakes on underachieving men and young men and boys of color. Why was it important to you? What was the moment when you knew that you wanted to focus your research on the positive, on the giftedness and the talent that's inherent in our boys of color?
Well, Gina, there's a saying exists that most doctoral dissertations are highly personal. They have a highly personal connection that drives people to do the laborious work of completing a doctorate. And mine was right in line with that saying, in that when I was a child, I was 8, 9, 10, I really liked to watch television. I was really, really into media, like a lot of children. So I would watch particularly I was interested in human interest stories about other kids, like myself. So, or at least my age range. And when there were programs that were talking about or highlighting children who are very gifted and talented, who are winning awards for their outstanding academic achievement, or they were playing a musical instrument with an orchestra or with a soloist or a recital, but it was really very exceptional. They were always, the young people were always white Jewish kids or Asian young people. And I would watch these programs over and over and over again. And when the segments were dealing with high achievement and exceptional students, they were always the same students. Or at least they always looked the same. The names were different, but they looked the same. And I started to question, well, why aren't there other students that don't look like these students who are doing the same thing? And particularly, where are Black boys who look like me? I don't see myself reflected in the media, or at least what the media is projecting and broadcasting to an audience that I could relate to. So consequently, I decided at a very, very young age that I was going to change the situation and change what was visible, in that I wanted to be, quote unquote, the first young person to be highlighted for academic achievement or for musical excellence. Because at the time I was just beginning to study the piano. So that was one of the reasons why I was drawn to students who were playing a musical instrument, because I was learning. And that fed into my desire to excel in that endeavor as well.
Right.
So the whole experience led me to really pose the question, and most scholarship comes out of questions. Why is it that there aren't more African-American boys like myself who are trying to do this event, or to do this, or accomplish this level of achievement? So consequently, that followed me. That gnawing question, that gnawing inquiry kept bothering me. So when I learned that, oh, well, you can pursue this as an academic endeavor, like, oh, really? Wow. I didn't really know this until I entered college. So I said, I'm going to do this. I'm going to really try to make this a goal in terms of finding out what are the factors that contribute to African-American young men being accomplished or being academically exceptional. Because the emphasis in the media and in the community, more in the African-American community more or less, and in the American society in general, is that the only thing that African-American boys can excel is in sports. That's it. And particularly football, basketball, and maybe track. But those are the only, really primarily football and basketball. Those are the things that we are so elevated. I mean, there are other reasons behind that, which I can go into at another time. But that's what the media, so the impact that the media has is so tremendous on people that it forms, and particularly young people, because it forms what their identity.
Right. It did for you. It did for you.
Exactly.
You then went on to do some high academic stuff. You went to Oberlin, where you studied African American studies and mathematics, and then you received your master's in the art of teaching and secondary mathematics education from Emory, and an advanced certificate in gifted education from Howard University.
Yes.
You have a ticket to commencement to go see President Obama speak?
No, I don't. I'm not an insider. Maybe I can work.
I know quite a few people who haven't been there in a while who are scrambling. And then Teachers College, again, where you did your research on gifted and talented and high achieving. Two questions. Why do you think not just Black males, but I would say young men of color in general, Black and Latino, are at risk in our educational system? And then kind of come back to what your findings were, briefly talk about what your findings were in your study.
Well, because my interest was my interest is in high achieving, academically achieving African American males. I mean, I can't really speak to Latino males because I didn't do that research, and it's a different culture. It's a different set of issues that reflect their experiences, even with the differences in ethnicity within the Latino culture. With Dominican culture is different from Puerto Rican culture, which is different from Guatemala. I mean, you can go on and on and on. So I can't really speak with authority about their particular situation, but you can make some linkages and connections, particularly as it relates to class issues, because the students who I was interested, or the students who participated in my research, came from a broad range of class backgrounds, but I was really particularly interested in the economically challenged Black male. But with some of the challenges that I uncovered from my participants were that the schools were not necessarily supportive, even of high achieving Black males. That was one startling revelation, that if they were in the public schools or in the private schools, they did not necessarily receive the support that you would think the school personnel would offer the young people. And two, the research indicated that at least the young people needed someone who believed in them. And out of all of the subgroups in terms of race and gender, Black boys were the most sensitive to being considered personally, having a personal relationship with a caring and an invested adult. So consequently, the young men that I interviewed were able to achieve their level of excellence because there was one person. Now, it didn't necessarily have to be a family member. It could be a teacher, it could be a coach, it could be a minister or church member or on extended family, just one person who took a personal interest and then wanted to see that young people succeed and was there through the long haul from 6th grade or 3rd grade or 9th grade or 10th, all the way up to college and beyond. And as a personal example of that finding was my relationship. I mentored about 4 or 5 African-American males, but the one my first male here in New York, because I did it also in Washington, D.C., I met him when he was 15, and I started helping him with the college process, because that's another passion of mine, is college going and college process and negotiating that terrain. And we started to work and talk about it and go through, because his parents hadn't attended college. So he was a first generation college student. So we went through the whole process, and we developed a friendship. And with the young people I mentor, I never leave them. I'm always with them. So it's a relationship that goes on and extends indefinitely. So that relationship evolved. So now he's 33 and about to get married, and he is associate director of computer technology at Columbia University, a business school. He's traveled the world. He has worked with other young people. He's assisted me with some of my mentees, or one in particular. So that's an example of what my research has uncovered to be one of the attributes, or one of the factors that contribute to young people, or particularly African-American males, excelling.
What about, there's a recent article in the New York Times about the overwhelming number of Black and Latino students in public school versus the number of students that are in the gifted and talented programs, which are predominantly white and Asian.
Yes.
And they talked about, the advocacy, when they leveled the playing field with regards to advocacy, and there was an example of that in California, they found that there was less disparity among the numbers, but it did require schools in particular to not underestimate
Right.
the abilities of their Black and Latino students, and also to parents to be able to be advocates to understand what their opportunities or school options were. In what ways do you think that schools underestimate? Well, a better question, I think, would be, what is the uniqueness about educating boys and young men of color, particularly within independent schools? What do you think?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great. Because I lost the connection for a second.
Yeah, we're going a little in and out here.
Yes, right. There are advantages and there are challenges to Black boys attending private schools. The advantage by far is the level of education, the level and the rigor, the quality of education and the teaching in most independent schools are peerless. You can't really put a ratchet, or you can't put a level on the quality for most schools, most of the private schools. So that is a tremendous plus for the African American young people going to, and African American women as well, young females as well. Now the challenge is the out of school, well, not even out of classroom, but even in classroom, social psychology that happens in the classroom and outside the classroom that can be very problematic for particularly African American males. And I would even further say that even dealing with the teachers in the class can in many instances be extremely challenging for the Black male because. Did you say something?
Yeah, can you repeat that about the teachers? We just gotta.
Oh yeah. The teachers can be even more challenging for the Black male in the classroom because they are the authority figure. Mm-hmm. And what my research had uncovered was that not only in the public schools, but in the private schools, teachers also did not believe in the ability of Black males in particular to excel at the highest levels. So what that translates into is that their expectations were somewhat diminished, or they were diminished for many Black males because of how they perceived them. Mm-hmm. They didn't quite perceive them as being at the top percentile ranking of the other young people in their class. So because they didn't perceive their intellectual and academic ability to be at the highest level, their expectations became adjusted. So, for example, one child, well, you can do the bonus question, or you can do the advanced question. You came to me to say that it was hard, but I know you can do it. I know you can do it. You just try a little bit harder. Just think about what we talked about in class. Think about some of the strategies and thinking patterns that I talked about. That would be the other child. The Black male child says, well, I'm having problems with same question, same
repeat that again. You just blurred out a little bit again. So now we're with the Black student, and that comes with the same question, and the response is?
Yes, right. So the teacher will say, well, I think it's a little bit harder for you maybe you shouldn't attempt that problem because it's really difficult. It's really, really, really difficult, and you may not get it, and you may become frustrated. So I think you might as well not do that problem. Just do the other problems because you can do that. But this one is really, really challenging. So I don't quite think that it's something that you want to attempt because I don't think you've covered all the material.
I think I have a similar experience. It may not have been, well, I don't think I don't think you can tackle that. It was more, well, it's a bonus question. You don't have to do it.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yes, right.
No, you have to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
But the difference is that the white child was encouraged to do it and given all sorts of support to tackle the advanced, most difficult question. The black male was not encouraged. That's the part of the expectations that even in private schools we see. For some, it's not all teachers. It's not all teachers.
No, it's not. It's not.
There are teachers who are just a black, white, Latino, whatever, who are just as encouraging. But there is a segment of the teaching,
the unconscious bias, bias.
Yes, yeah, and stereotype assumptions that also come out of it. So that's one of the challenges. And then socializing with other young people in the school. So the social aspect of the school can be quite challenging for black boys if they don't fit a certain or embody a certain image. If they embody a sports type of image where they make jokes all the time, they're the class clown, they act like they're not interested in school. The stereotypes that are promulgated from in media transfer to the social aspect of black boys' existence in private school. Whereas the studious black boy is not seen as cool. Right. He doesn't have the quote unquote cool pose that is so desired for black boys because in society, they set the standard. They set the standard in terms of what is considered in and what's considered out and what is most desirable.
So it's almost like, Dr. John, it's like this, it's a code switching. It's
absolutely,
and it's an ability that can be very much a positive benefit when you know how to turn it on and off.
That's correct.
And still, it's very stressful, and I think you're challenged with that. So if you're not one way, we want you this way. But if you're this way, then you're not fitting what makes me feel comfortable in this setting. So it's a tough challenge. It's a tough challenge.
And what it alludes to is what Du Bois called double consciousness.
Yes.
Du Bois double consciousness is what happens. And I write about that in my dissertation also, about how they have to be aware of be one way in one setting and be another way in another setting. And sometimes it can cause almost like a schizophrenia in a way because they have to navigate in order to survive. Whereas the high achieving black male who may or may not be possess a cool pose persona is othered, is marginalized because he doesn't fit the approved peer stereotype. So he has a lot of challenges in terms of how can I do what's in my heart to be an excellent student and be socially accepted. Right. There was a study done by Roland Fryer at Harvard, and he found that when other groups of students, high school students in particular, do well, the higher their GPA, the higher they were accepted socially. For African American males, the higher their GPA went, the less socially accepted they were. So a young African American with a 2.5 or 3.0 or 3.2, whatever, they were okay. But when they started to reach the 3.5 area range or the 3.7, 3.8, 4.0, their social capital decreased.
Wow.
So that they were.
Well, it could be that they were just in the room studying a little bit more, though, too, right? They weren't out and about.
Right. Yeah. Right. But the perception is once again that even if they are, because I really believe that you have to work hard.
Right.
You can't
Absolutely.
expect to do really well if you're not putting in the work.
Right.
And that the study was done on Asian students, and Asian students, well, are you high achieving because you're naturally gifted? From the research study, it indicated that Asian students, the majority of them, will say that no, it's not because I'm any smarter than anyone else. It's because I work 3 times as hard as other students, and because I work hard, that's where my achievement comes in. And that's really where I align myself, is that you have to put in the work in order to be successful. And if you really want to be successful, then this is a major component of being successful, being willing to put in the time. And it's difficult, even at the end. It was very difficult in independent schools because many of them, the academic curriculum is off the roof. It's going into the stratosphere in terms of the curriculum. The curriculum is so demanding in many schools that a lot of students don't have time to do much, but other than study. So, so that's one of the aspects that I found that is challenging for Black males who are in independent schools, is definitely the social peer relations, and then teacher expectations, and also administrators too, because as similar to the public school, in the private schools, the administrators will usually hand out a disciplinary infraction, will deal with a disciplinary infraction much more severe with a Black male student than with any other student. And there's research that indicates that the punishment is much more punitive for an African American male in particular, as opposed to, and this goes back to stereotypes and biases that exist.
Oh yeah, we can go way back, Jim Crow, and even further back.
Yes, that's what it's all based on.
Yeah. Well, as parents of boys of color, I happen to be one. We're vigilant. We are really vigilant, and we have our dreams and hopes, and
of course
that we want to uphold and push forward. And we are here in our schools, and we're watching, and we have the challenges that we face too. So that's what Saturday's workshop that you are facilitating is all about, Dr. John. And we focus group because we want to make heard based upon the questions that you will be posing to them. We're going to, during the summer, work with this information and turn it around and be able to give it back to us as parents, as schools, educators, and administrators to understand what we are experiencing, what we are feeling, the challenges and the successes that will make our educational environments that much more of an advocate for our boys of color, our Black and Latino boys. So we're really excited about Saturday. So we're kicking off this event at 10 a.m. The workshops start at 11. If you're interested in being part of this focus group and can get in, we'd love to have you. But if not, I'm going to do another plug for another one of our workshops color in independent school education that's being facilitated by a PhD candidate, Rashida Bowen White. And so we're really excited for that as well, Dr. John, because we could talk forever. I really try to get these lunch dinners down to 15 minutes, but it's so much rich information.
I want to say one thing.
Sure.
I'm so proud and so thankful for Rise and what you are doing, because African American parents, Black parents organizing and sharing information networking, supporting each other is critical for their children to succeed. And especially with intervening with private school administrators, teachers, other staff members, it's critical that you all do this work that you're doing. So I want to commend you and what you're doing with RISE to organize African American parents together and helping them navigate this treacherous journey. In some instances, it can be very, very
hence the roadmap. That's why we need a roadmap.
That's right, exactly. And thank you for that.
And this roadmap, this journey is alongside our Latino families and our Asian families as well, because we are, as the National Association of Independent Schools deems us all people of color. And so we are in very interesting cultural spaces, ones that we deserve to be in. And for the most part are amazing, amazing opportunities for us to continue with our educational legacies. And but we just have to walk with our eyes wide open. And that's what we're going to be doing. And thank you for the work that you do to edify and make real the experiences that we have and help us kind of, again, take a deeper journey and have a more clearer path to help children that we dream.
Yeah, that's what it's all about.
So thank you. We'll see you on Saturday, Dr. John.
Yes, Saturday.
Okay. Don't forget to register for the RISE Parent Power Conference this Saturday, the 23rd of April at Abyssinian Baptist Church. The link to RSVP is right here in the details section. Thanks so much. We'll see you tomorrow. Dr. John, we'll see you Saturday, okay?
Look forward to it.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Great. John, did you hang up? Oh, no, you're good. So I stopped broadcasting. That was awesome.
Yes.